Dak Prescott was doing his charity event, he and Troy Aikman. And of course, you know, everyone comes out and they come to support the charity event for these kids who are battling cancer. And it's a great charity event that they do. But the reporters are kind of there because you don't get many moments where you get a chance to talk to Dak Prescott. You know, during the season, you get that one scheduled time during the week. But once the season is over, he ain't doing podcasts. He ain't doing none of that. So it's in these moments that they get a chance to talk to Dak Prescott. And in the comments, it was said by Dak Prescott that, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was along the lines of, if you look at the record, because they were asking about Philadelphia and now that they won the Super Bowl, they said, well, if you look at the record when we played those guys, you know, like, you know, we beat them. And if we're being honest, he's right. He's right. The numbers are here. Dak record against the NFC East as a whole, the division, he's 33-8 since he came into the league. Dak record against the Philadelphia Eagles, 9-4 since he's come into the league. The issue is not the regular season for me. It's not the regular season for me. Because, yes, if you look at it during the regular season, he's basically owned the NFC East. If you look at it during the regular season, he has a winning record well above 500 against the Eagles. He's 2-5 in the playoffs. With zero NFC championship appearances, 0 playoff appearances. Philadelphia, since 2015, they're 10-5 in the playoffs. With 1, 2, 3 Super Bowl appearances. That means 3 NFC championships. They lost to the Chiefs. They've beaten the Chiefs, and they beat the Pats. So they've beat some heavy hitters. They've beat Tom Brady. They've beat and they beat the Chiefs. And those came 18 in the last 6 years. So 2 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl appearances since 2015. That's the part that matters to me the most. I don't care about regular season. And I get what Dak is saying. Like, yeah, we can compete with those guys in the regular season. And then he says the line that kind of takes me over is, it's our turn, it's on us. And I get what Dak is saying. When you're a player, whatever it is, like, there is a level of delusion. Maybe delusion is a harsh word. But when you're in the building, when you're in the fight, you do have to have a level of delusion. You do have to have a level of belief that goes far beyond sometimes rational thinking. If I was in the Cowboys locker room today, as rational as I like to believe that I am, as honest and truthful as I like to believe that I am, when you put in the work every single day, at least individually, you believe a little bit different. I don't have to have the unrealistic rationalization of what they actually are, because I don't play for them anymore. I don't put the work in anymore. I don't eat for the game. I don't work out for the game. I don't do any of that for the game anymore. I don't spend more time with my teammates than I do my family. I don't study the playbook anymore. I don't do any of that. I'm not in the training room. So I don't have to have the level of belief that he has to have. especially being the quarterback. I also don't have to agree with it. But he has to have that level of we can. Even though we haven't got to the big game, even though we haven't been able to get ourselves to a place of true playoff success, he has to believe it. And when he says it, we, I, us, you, me, we turn up our lips. We frown our face. Because unless you're hoisting the Lombardi or at least dancing in those waters, we don't believe you. And this year marked, now that Washington ended up going to the NFC Championship game, you now have the longest drought. 30 years. 2 times longer than any other team in the league. That's tough. That's tough. And to say that we're close to doing that because of what you were able to do against them in the regular season, I think to me is apples and oranges. Yes, regular season is important, but playoffs is more important. What you do in the playoffs, what you do against those playoff level opponents, and let's be honest, it ain't even about what you do just against Philadelphia, because you still have to get through a bunch of other teams that you may not be better than. Let me take the may not out. That you are not better than. Detroit's still there. Minnesota's gotten better. Can't beat Green Bay. You know what San Fran does to you. I think if you have to go up against the Rams, that'll be a headache. Washington's on the way. I mean, it's looking crazy. And, of course, Philadelphia. So you don't have to be better than just Philadelphia. You got to get better than the rest of the dogs that you have not been able to hurdle yet either. And your real prayer is that you hope that your owner, president, and general manager gets up to speed on how things are being done in the 21st century. Because old keys don't open new locks. Old ways of how you build a team don't win games in 2025 and beyond. You have to be able to come to a place where you're competing at a level roster-wise with the others. Not because you had a quarterback or you had a receiver. Kind of everybody has that now. Everybody, like the good teams, they got that. But you got to be willing to pay the other guys that make your roster legit. And not worry about, in essence, the cost of doing business. A part of it, when it comes to will Jerry Jones be willing to do the things that guys like Jeffrey Lurie does? Because what Jeffrey Lurie does kind of initially on the front end takes a little bit of money out of his pocket that they'll have to pay for later on, but you pay a larger price up front. And you do that and you say, okay, I'll pay the down payment up front. I'll deal with the consequences later. But the business side of things, it says, now that I win a Super Bowl, I'll charge more for my tickets next year. I'll make more money. I'll sell out tickets faster next year. I'll make more money. Parking will go up. I'll make more money. I'll sell more merch. I'll sell more jerseys. All that stuff from the business-wise, Jeffrey Lurie will be fine. He'll turn a profit even though he has to pay some of that other money up front. That's the name of the game. And part of the reason why I think that the Joneses won't do that is because they're already first. They're not first on the field. They sell the most merch. They by far have the most attendance every single year. Jerry's making hand over fist at that concession stand. Shout out to Legends Concessions. Jersey sales are always in the top 10. I mean, so for him, and of course, you see it every single year. They come out and they go, hey, we have the Forbes list. And this tells you who is the most profitable and richest franchise in all of sports in the world. And up at the top, where it says number one, number uno, Dallas Cowboys. So in the business side of things, Jerry's saying, I don't have to do what they do because I already win. So I'm not going to extend my cap or extend my pockets or stretch my pockets out and worry about having to make the money up later because I'm already winning in those areas. So until I figure out a way to win in my terms, on my terms, in the way that I want to do it, and not do a smart thing and just copycat how other folks around the league are doing it, he'll stay pat. And Jerry and Dak and Micah and CD and all those other guys will have to answer the question about how come you can't compete like the Eagles? How come you can't compete like the Niners? How come you can't compete like Detroit and or Washington? It ain't because the blueprint is not there. Also, what Jerry can do is learn how to stack contracts. Learn how to come to players. If you have a player and you're saying, you know what, this is a good player, and this guy has a contract coming up in 2 years, and instead of me waiting for him in 2 years and he's healthy and we have plans for him to be here in the future, let me go ahead and extend him now. Let me extend him now. But the Cowboys keep waiting until the contracts are officially over, and now those players that you actually need, they take you out back, as they should, and they spank you in the contract. And now you end up having to pay that money right then and there. Instead of stacking contracts, and what ends up happening is these players take you out back, and now when you say, I don't want to set the market, and I don't want to, you end up doing it anyway. Nobody was giving running backs $12, $13 million a year. You gave it to Zeke. And he had 2 years left on his deal. You gave it to him. When you shouldn't have done that. That should have been one contract you didn't do. CeeDee Lamb. You waited till he got to the end of his deal, and then now what? At the time, Tyreek Hill had the biggest number. Right? So don't wait till he gets to the number now when Tyreek Hill is there. Extend him 2 years before that. So you're not recreating the market. Same thing with Micah. Same thing with Dak. But you wait until you get to the very end of the deal, and now you have no choice because you don't have the answer. You got to give Dak $60 million. But if you did it 2 years before, you could have saved yourself $10 million. That money could have gone to another player or two players. But if you stack it properly and push some things down the road, that's how you're able to build a good team. That's how you become the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, there's risk in that for sure, 100%. You can stack, you can do that and end up like Cleveland. They took a bad bet on a bad contract on a bad quarterback. Stung them. Same thing with Denver. They had to eat $80 million for Russell Wilson, not Westbrook. The Saints, they kept pushing it and pushing and pushing, and it never quite curled all the way over. But the blueprints are out there. You have to be willing and wanting to take them. If not, you'll be talking about the yesteryears and about how in the 1990s, how you won those championships. It's 30 years. There are a large contingent of people. My audience is like male 25 to 45 is always the target audience for sports talk radio or podcasts or what have you. A lot of these kids never saw a Super Bowl. A lot of these young men have never saw it. So what you're talking about, you're starting to talk to a breed of people who aren't even in that realm of age. You got to get something for these new fans before it gets too late. All right, man. But right now, Philly's ahead of the class. They are head and shoulders above the Cowboys. And in some places, right now, in Vegas, the Dallas Cowboys are, with the odds of winning a Super Bowl in 2025, 2026, they're fourth least in the NFL. I think the only team that are worse than them are the Giants, the Saints, the Panthers, than the Cowboys. It's good value. If you want to waste money, Holley's Helping Hands are always taking donations. We give back to the community. Don't waste your money on some of those Vegas good value picks. That ain't going to be good value later on. If it's $50, donate to Holley's Helping Hands. $100, $1,000, whatever it is, donate to Holley's Helping Hands.